Presbyterian Hospital held a series of town hall meetings today for employees. The hospital's CEO told them the eyes of the community, the state, and the entire nation are now on the hospital, and it will emerge from these trying times stronger than ever. The Associated Press released more details on how patient 0, Thomas Duncan, was cared for at the hospital. It says Nina Pham was one of about 70 staff members involved in treating Duncan. Now, Pham's diagnosis now widens the net of potential Ebola patients, those who came into contact with her, plus all of the staff who also treated Duncan. And the CDC has ordered a review of procedures and wants all hospitals across the country to think Ebola first. Fox 4's Calvert Collins joining us now from Presbyterian Hospital with details of Duncan's treatment and also the suggested safety changes. Calvert.
Well, Heather, those medical records from the Associated Press also show that there were 9 caregivers or hospital employees who came and went from Thomas Eric Duncan's room the day he died. It's unknown at this point if any of those individuals are considered high risk because, again, we don't know how Nina Pham became infected.
We have to rethink the way we address Ebola infection control because even a single infection is unacceptable.
That's the focus of the CDC now. More experts and specialists are headed here to help with monitoring. CDC Director Tom Frieden says medical staff must break the chain of transmission.
And we're assessing what more we can do, what more we all can do to improve the care of people with Ebola so that we can not only stop it at the source, but also reduce the risk to any healthcare workers going forward.
Drop these gloves into a container lined with 3 biohazard bags.
Parkland Hospital released this video on YouTube demonstrating the personal protection equipment used for infectious disease patients. The 1,400 plus pages of Thomas Eric Duncan's medical records his family released to the Associated Press shows doctors, nurses, and other hospital employees wore face shields, double gowns, protective footwear, and even hazmat suits to avoid touching any of his bodily fluids. The virus spreads through direct contact with those fluids, usually blood, feces, and vomit. The 70 employees' job was to keep Duncan alive. After their shifts, they went home to their own families. Since Duncan's admission into isolation on September 28th, caregivers were told to follow a self-monitoring regimen, according to the CDC. When Nina Pham discovered a low-grade fever last Friday, she immediately drove to the hospital.
Really scary, yet we just have to be, very careful as when we treat patients. That's just the bottom line.
A 3-year nurse at Presbyterian Hospital who asked we not show her face says medical professionals now fear the virus even more.
We are wondering, is it really contact? Is it contact and airborne, or is it just really contact and there may have been a breach of protocol? We really don't know.
It's still unknown if human error or equipment malfunction or an accident caused Pham's infection, but we do know the ICU nurse treated Duncan extensively. One reason colleagues are now asking for enhanced protective gear.
We need to consider the possibility that there could be additional cases, particularly among the healthcare workers who cared for the index patient when he was so ill. That's when this healthcare worker became infected, and we're concerned and would unfortunately not be surprised if we did see additional cases.
Now, that contact investigation is going to widen because you may remember Thomas Eric Duncan's 48 closest family and friends who he had contact with while he was symptomatic were being monitored until October 19th. Now, fortunately, none of them have shown any Ebola symptoms thus far. But now with the addition of Nina Pham, that could widen to not only her family and friends, but also potentially her 70 colleagues here at Presbyterian Hospital. Heather?
All right, so Calvert, do you have any sort of number on that family and friends and exactly how many people we're talking about?
No, because the CDC has not done a full kind of count of how many people that they're dealing with, how many of family and friends she has given. But they do say that they'll have a more concrete number tomorrow. We can tell you that one person is in isolation currently connected to Nina Pham, but because there are now dozens more potential contacts, the CDC is going to be sending more disease detectives, as they call them, to monitor individuals, taking their temperatures, diagnosing doing that kind of daily symptomatic diary logging. But this is certainly going to make it more difficult, as it just casts a wider net. When you've got more people, it's just going to be harder to contain, and they're going to be monitoring them until October 31st.
All right, Calvert, we'll look for that number tomorrow then, and just at least get a better handle on how many people we're talking about. Thank you much.